Okay, we are back for week number 4 of the VGC Draft League, and this week we have a very exciting matchup, and one I'm looking really forward to. I've done a decent bit of prep. As usual, I'll be doing a pre-match analysis as well as a post-match review, and if you guys haven't checked out the other draft videos, I highly recommend you go check them out. Just for some context, we are 2-1 currently in the draft, and the spreadsheet isn't up to date, but we did get quite a convincing win last week against Spashley. And yeah, it was a really good performance from the team building aspect of things. I think I managed to cook up quite a good synergy of a trio or a duo as well of Salamence, Raichu, Ninetales. And yeah, it was just a really good week for us, and it gives us a good bit of momentum to go into a really tricky matchup against quite a good coach in his week number 4. So this is the team. If you guys haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you go check out the previous videos. But if you're new, feel free to like, subscribe, all that good stuff for this draft VGC journey. And we'll get straight into the pre-match review. So as I mentioned, it's quite a tricky matchup. Now, on paper, it does look quite good for us. But they've got some really scary bits I do have to respect in the team builder. Now, I have actually spent probably the most amount of prep that I've done so far in the draft. So I'm hoping I can convert based on the prep that I've done. However, I still have to play it out. And yeah, they've got basically quite a slow team. So if we look at the speed tiers here, so the fastest Pokemon they've got is Hydreigon, which hits a base speed of 165 on a timid nature. So yeah, we can definitely hit that. I think them going for a Trick Room mode is highly likely, given the fact they've got Ursaluna, Dusclops, and they could also go with a modest Goldengo as well. I think Trick Room's a really good option for them. Also, the Tailwind mode, they have brought it to quite a few matchups so far. And yeah, they've got Ditto as well, which could be quite scary for my setup Annilape. And they have Berserker, I think it's called, which is a Steel type from Gen 8, I believe, which is, yeah, Sword and Shield. And it has a really scary ability in Steely Spirit, which boosts up Steel type attacks by 50%. So that paired next to Goldengo can do some crazy damage output, especially if the Goldengo's choice specs, Modest, Terra Steel, Make It Rain can do a crazy amount of damage, even into a Terra Water Annilape next to Frengard. It can still do a lot of damage. So I've got to be quite careful about that as well. So yeah, they've got some really scary threats with Hydreigon offering Trick Room, as well as this choice specs attacker. Goldengo obviously is a threat. Ursaluna is a massive threat. Amoonguss is quite tricky as well. Dusclops is really good disruption Trick Room setter. Ditto to punish the setup my end. Berserker to support the Goldengo. I don't expect Gogoat, Toxapex or Wigglytuff here, but it could be an option for them. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I mean, the matchup does look good for me on favor, but I have said this in previous weeks and it hasn't worked out for me. I think the general speed tiering does make the team so slow that I have to respect the Trick Room mode. And yeah, that's kind of it really. I mean, naturally, Annilape does have a really good matchup against these two Pokemon. Now, before I show you the main team that I've decided to bring this matchup, I did heavily consider these two Pokemon as a duo to build around for this week. Assault-Vest Blastoise is really good into Goldengo, and I can put a Annilape next to it, which is obviously a Ghost type, so it's immune to Fake Out. And essentially the thought process this week was to actually lean into the Blastoise. Now, I wasn't too sure on Fake Out. This could be Icy Winds, this could be quite a few other different moves. Flip Turn could be an example, but I really like Body Press and Crunch. As you can see, there's a lot of EVs into the defense, and essentially it's just going to be a supporting Annilape with Vital Spirit. I can Terra Grass the Blastoise, and I can just click Coaching into my Blastoise if they respect like a really passive, or if they play really defensive turn 1, I can punish that by going Coach Up onto Blastoise. Coaching boosts the attack and defense of your partner Pokemon. Blastoise is going crazy with Body Presses and Crunch. Obviously, Body Press being immune, not very good into Ghost types. Crunch is really good into Ghost types. So this was an option that I really did think about, and I did like it, but at the same time, I didn't really want to cook too much this week. With the fact that I have some really strong pieces against their team, I was like, if they want to try and like cheese the matchup, or if they want to play like a really hyper offensive sort of team into me, then they have to like play weird sets, and that I can easily punish with the amount of bulk on my team already. I have Frengard, I have Poltergeist, I have Ninetales with screens that's like faster than the whole team. I think I'm just going to play it like quite balancy and quite I'm going to try and lean on the Annilape as much as possible and just see how the matchup goes. So I did really like think about bringing a team like this or a duo like this, which is like really unpredictable and really sort of off the wall, trying to catch them out. But at the same time, they've got Frisk on their Dusclops, which could obviously scout for my move straight away, or sorry, my item straight away. So I'm just going to play this. So this is the team that I've kind of put together. Now, we are a couple of hours away from the actual matchup itself, so I could potentially change some sets around, as I usually do. If you watch the previous weeks, I do kind of get an hour before the match, and I think about a certain line that I might need a certain Terra type for, or a certain move for. So I do kind of like switch it up towards the like an hour before the match, perhaps. But in this case, this is the team that I've got. It's a really, really strong sort of six that I'm really looking forward to bring. Now, let's kind of start from the top here. Okay, so I just amended these with the EVs being shown. Now I've got a very bulky Annilape, and this is going to be on my leftovers bulk up set, my go-to set. This is why I drafted Annilape, right? This is why it's cost a fifth of my budget for these weeks, so I can completely lean into it, and it's going to hard carry me. I'm just really good into Goldengo. It's really good into Ursaluna. I'm just going to trust my Annilape can pull through. We have the Ninetales to support. This Ninetales is really techy, doesn't play a fairy move. I do predict if they lead a Hydreigon against it, the Hydreigon is going to Terra. It's going to Terastallized. There's no way they leave a 4 times weak Pokemon to Fairy right in front of a Ninetales, a Alola Ninetales. There's like no way. So they're always going to bait out the Terra, even the presence of this in front of a Hydreigon. So I'm not going to go for a Fairy move. Instead, I'm going to go for Icicle Spear to boost up the Rage Fists on my Annilape. I've got Blizzard, of course, Aurora Veil for screens, and Misty Terrain, which is actually going to be my bit of a tech for this week. It turns off any... So Misty Terrain essentially it mitigates all status moves on the field, with the Ninetales being extremely fast. It's the fastest Pokemon I have on the team, and it's the fastest Pokemon against all their Pokemon. I can just get a Misty Terrain off. I don't need to worry about any sort of Thunder Waves from Hydreigon, or Spore from Amoonguss, but I have got a Vital Spirit on Annilape, if you haven't noticed already. They haven't really got any like Defiant, like ways to trigger Defiant. So I'm just going to go Vital Spirit. If I don't lead like Mouseape, because Mouseape obviously has a safety goggles, I'm going to try and trick them to thinking that this is Defiant, because Dusclops can also frisk. So if they frisk safety goggles here, they're going to think, oh, has to be Defiant, right? There's no way like this is not Vital Spirit because he got safety goggles here. Just like a mind game if they do that. But we'll see if it comes up. So essentially, Misty Terrain can turn off status moves, can turn off Thunder Wave, and Spores. Also, very importantly, it can turn off the burn from Ursaluna. Ursaluna's a Guts ability. If it's burned, it doubles its attack, or 1.5. I can't remember the boost exactly. But yeah, I can turn off that burn to mitigate the Guts ability and the Flame Orb. So that's a really cool tech that I'm going to try and pull off this week. Mouseape, not too much. Mousehold, not too much to explain. Mousehold here, it's got Taunt, Beat Up, Follow Me. Now, Encore can essentially just shut down the Ursaluna if they protect turn 1 in front of it. Taunt can taunt Hydreigon to turn off Tailwind, and Encore to Encore the Ursaluna into Protects if they just try and protect in front of me. So, yeah, quite a techy little trio I've got here, which I think like supports the Annilape so well. Just let it do what it wants to do. Poltergeist, not too much to say about here. Quite physically bulky to take those Earthquakes. Although it's resisted, it is still quite a weak Pokemon with Eviolite. I've got Imprisoned Trick Room on it here. Also, just an option, but I don't think it'll probably come out, to be honest. And then Salamence as my, like, if I'm up a game, I might just lead Salamence or bring it in the back potentially. It's really good into Ursaluna. It's really good into Goldengo. And it's just like a choice spec stellar modest nuke button. If I hit the Draco, I'm pretty sure whatever's like looking at it is gonna die, except for the steel types, which could be Goldengo or is Goldengo, and Terra Steel Hydreigon. So that's why Heat Wave's on here. Terra Stellar Heat Wave is gonna go crazy. Now I was thinking about Fire, but I think it's really obvious that I have a Heat Wave on this set if I go Terra Fire Salamence. So as I mentioned, this is like open Terra type, closed team sheets. So if they see Terra Fire on Salamence, everyone knows that's going to have a Heat Wave. So I'm trying to hide that as best I can. And yeah, it's just going to be my nuke button. It's immune to Earthquakes. Intimidate's pretty good against the team. So yeah, it's just a backup option and to scare them as well. Now, Blastoise. This Blastoise I did actually decide on bringing in the end. It's very bulky, has Assault Vest, very good into Berserker and Goldengo. It resists to Make It Rains. It's faster than Berserker, and it can get a fake off quicker than it. So it's just an option to have. I might bring it. Depends how the match is kind of going, but it's just a good option. I did have Haunter in this slot also, but the thing was Haunter, I was just using it as like an Imprison, Trick Room, Shadow Ball, Protect bot, just to like shut down their team. But I was like, Poltergeist is kind of doing that role anyway. Haunter can like wall Ursaluna completely, but it's not very good in Goldengo. So Blastoise kind of fills in the role naturally quite well. Has Body Press, is again just like good into most of their team, except the Ghost types, which then Rage Fist can hit. Icy Wind is just speed control as well. They go for the fast mode. So I think this is like probably the best 6 I can bring it, to be honest. Now I did obviously think about bringing other Pokemon, but I'm happy with the 6. I think the 6 is going to go crazy, to be honest. And I really hope that the prep that I've done this week, which I'll share with you. Now these are just some draft notes. Usually what I do, I kind of note down their leads, the 6 they bring to each week, the 4 Pokemon they bring to the battle. Some notes, like I've seen Ursaluna have Fling, Fire Punch. The Hydreigon has Snarl, Draco, Life Orb, and Choppleberry. The Dusclops can have a Pain Split or Nightshade. And they've also brought Specs Goldengo to 1 week as well. And these are just like some notes that I've taken. I have some like rough plans that I'm going to go for. And this set here in case I wanted to go back to it. So yeah, I've done quite a bit of homework this week just to scout out their sort of playstyle and the 4 or 6 Pokemon that I think they'll bring. Now, I think they'll honestly just try and bring Goldengo, Ursaluna, Amoonguss, Hydreigon, Dusclops, Ditto. These 6. They could also bring Berserker as like a modest Choice Specs, Terra Steel, Make It Rain, Goldengo just like to blow through my team. The weakness to doing that obviously is Goldengo is going to be sitting in front of a Terra Water Annilape, their end, and I do have Assault Vest, Blastoise to cover for that as well. So yeah, like I've got really good tools into this team. Although I've done quite a bit of prep, I'm not going to cook too much. I'm just going to lean into my Annilape. This is the reason why I paid 20 points for it out of the 100. For weeks like this, where I'm just like, you know, if the Annilape can just, if I can just get it to do what it does best, it's going to go crazy. So it's going to be a really exciting week, guys. I'm really excited to get into this match. And yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you want to stay tuned for future draft videos. And we are going to get straight into the match. Okay, and we are back for the post-game review. Now, this game was really close. It could have gone either way. And yeah, my opponent played really well. I think it was a couple of turning points during each game. But yeah, we'll get straight into it. Now, they opted to bring the kind of team that I expected, but I did expect Ditto over the Wigglytuff. Now, it turns out Wigglytuff actually gets Frisk, which is quite interesting. I didn't realise it had that ability. I wasn't sure if this was bait or if this was actually going to come into the game. I'll be honest, I don't really know what Wigglytuff does, but it's here. I kind of disregarded it when I picked my first 4, but yeah, like I kind of expected this team in general, but I wasn't sure on which way they could lead, whether it's the Trick Room mode or whether it's the Tailwind mode. I had to try and like respect both of them in the same lead, so I opted to go for Ninetales. We'll just get into the game. So they lead Hydreigon and Goldengo. I lead Tails and Ape. Now, this obviously leads quite interesting. I don't have a Fairy move on my Ninetales, so I do expect a Terra or a Switch out here. I also have like quite a free way to just Terra Ape and set up Veil. It's quite an obvious play, and it does reveal, or it just bait out the Terra at least. Also, an option they could do is just like Draco Shadow Ball Annilape, but I don't think that kills even with Choice Specs. But yeah, it's like this leaves kind of what I predicted, but it felt quite safe just to Terra and set up Veil. They actually Terra Steel, which is quite interesting, because I could have just literally just Moonblasted the Hydreigon if I had it. Maybe they were predicting that I wasn't going to do that, and like predicting that I was going to not go for that play because it was quite obvious play. Yeah, and instead they just Flash Cannon the Ninetales and they just go for a Make It Rain while I bulk up. Now here I kind of like my position. The Goldengo is -1. I have screens up. I have a bulk up. My Terra's revealed and I show them leftovers, which is fine. Now here I was tempted to go into the Poltergeist, but I kind of wanted to save it. I thought Salamence could just pressure these two immediately, either with a Heat Wave. I was thinking about clicking a Heat Wave, to be honest, just as like a consistent way to hit both targets. But I was like, I'm faster than this Hydreigon. I can just kill it. They burnt the Terra. Lilaps +1. I don't think +1 Drain Punch would have killed. I think I was just short, or I had to high roll it. Instead, they just switch it out, which is pretty reasonable, and I get a Dragon Pulse, and I just go for the Dream Punch anyway, just to get some recovery. Now this position does again look quite strong here. I think they spoke about their plans for game 1, and I think they kind of went against what they had in the notes, which is, it happens, like these things do happen. I've certainly been there when I've kind of had a plan against a certain matchup, but you kind of think it's too obvious, or you stick with the play. It's quite risky and bold just to see what you do, especially game 1. There's always that argument whether to go a bit bold or stick to your plan. For me, I was just making quite safe options turn 1, plays that don't kind of lose me the game, and kind of wait for my opponents to make a mistake. Admittedly, they did make some mistakes in this game, but again, it's easily done. I definitely make some mistakes in game 2, which we'll show in a bit. So it's especially with draft closed team sheet, especially when you've got a tricky matchup with a bulk up Annilape facing you as well. So yeah, they bring in the Ursaluna. I assume it was going to protect, so I just double up the Among Us here for quite a safe KO. They bring in Gholdengo. They go for the double protect here, which I guess, yeah, it kind of makes sense. I was pretty much always going to double up this slot, given the fact that a protect was possible for the Gholdengo. I did obviously want to get rid of it, it's a threat. But they go for the double protect. I think if they get that off, they might have clawed back some momentum. But they don't, and I'm able to pick up the KO, and obviously it's a bit rough from here for them. They show me T-Bolt, which yeah, is a really good move, and obviously he plays around that Water Terror. I think they were really expecting the Water Terror from Annilape, so really good call from them to get that right. And again, if I didn't get screens up, that would have been really tricky. And yeah, we just mop up with a Dragon Pulse and a Drain Punch. So yeah, pretty convincing game 1. I think, again, they probably shouldn't have terrored the Gholdengo. I think they did admit that afterwards. But yeah, I think the setup I got turn 1 was just really unbearable at their end. Plus I had a Poltergeist in the back just to heal up my Annilape. Again, like I said, I really wanted to try and cook this week. Couldn't really cook. I was like, Annilape's just too good here. I'm just going to lean into it. And that's literally what I did. Game 1. Didn't do anything flashy there. But game 2 actually is quite interesting. Now, I opt to go for... Let me just show the lead. So, yeah, Dusclops and Gholdengo. I opt to go in the same lead here because it felt quite safe into the team. I think Mousehold was a great option to bring as well. But little did I know that Hydreigon had I think it had... let's have a look. It had a Mental Herb, which was actually something I did consider them having, but I did write it off. I was like, that's way too suspect to put a Mental Herb. Turns out they did do it, so I was quite lucky not to bring Mouse Orb in that turn 1, because that was one of my game plans, is to taunt the Hydreigon and get a bulk up off. And it turns out they had Mental Herb, so that could have been really tricky turn 1 if they went for that play and I led Mouseape. But nonetheless, I actually expected here a hard switch out into Ursaluna. So that's why I went for the play that I did. So they frisk, they show my items, which is fine. I get Auroril and a bulk up. Oh no, sorry, I did consider clicking Misty Terrain turn 1 just to play around the Ursaluna, switch in, and a Will-O-Wisp from the Dusclops. I think that was quite an obvious play. I showed my Terror. Obviously they had my Terror anyway because it was open Terror type, but I think a Will-O-Wisp and a Ursaluna switch in was an option for them. I think they did have a Will-O-Wisp on. No, they didn't. So again, I probably I'm quite glad I did this, but again, I was really considering the Misty Terrain to play turn 1. But nonetheless, they go for Shadow Ball. I eat that quite nicely. My Annilape's pretty bulky, and I get off screens while they get off Trick Room. Now here, I just go for a Protect, and I do go for the Misty Terrain this turn, just to play, again, don't want any, T-Wave shenanigans, Will-O-Wisp shenanigans. Among Us does switch in, and they go for a Make It Rain. They get a crit on Annilape, which actually does matter a bit, because I was eating those attacks quite nicely in the previous game, so I guess it kind of mattered, but it didn't in a way, because I'll explain why in a second. They bring Tails down to Sash, -1 from the Gholdengo, and a Rage Fist picks up the KO, which is quite nice. I'm up a Pokemon, and I'm like, if the Snartail survives, I'm just going to go for Icicle Spear, and I do, which is quite nice. And I'm still in Trick Room, which is this is quite scary here. I opt to... I see that Snow's already got 2 turns left, so I'm like, I might preserve this because I might be able to stall out the Trick Room. I get Salamence in to intimidate the Ursaluna because they're still in the misty terrain. And yeah, I go for another Protect. They show Leaf Storm, which is actually quite interesting. Turns out the Miracle Seed Leaf Storm, which is actually a really, really heads-up play from them. I obviously thought this was going to be your standard Amoonguss. Turns out it's not. And this is a really good Terrapin from them. And something I didn't prep for at all. And it caused me a bit of issues. I kind of write it off when I see it. I'm like, oh, Leaf Storm. I guess that's pretty cool. Turns out this is a modest Amoonguss, and that thing is doing a lot of damage. Here, I make a pivotal mistake. I should have actually switched out Annilape and switched in Poltergeist in his place. That way, let me just explain the turn here. So I should have... Oh, I don't think I can pause it. Let's see if I can catch it. No, I can't. Anyway, I should have just switched out the Annilape for Poltergeist. Healed up my Salamence slightly and got off a Dragon Pulse onto the Ursaluna. This way, I could have just played around Leaf Storm, which KOs. I don't know why I just disregarded this move. It was always clear that like they count or had a game plan into Terra Wars at Annilape, and that was part of it. But yeah, I lose my threat. I lose my Annilape, which is actually awful here. And yeah, Trick Room expires, which is quite nice. Again, the position I would have been in if I just switched out into Poltergeist would have been a lot better, because I do leave that Ice Punch into Salamence here. I think it was 60% or 70%. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, we do live it with the screens and with the -1 Ursaluna. So yeah, that turn worked out for them. Like they done really well just to like have a game plan for that. But I think I just made a misplay on my end. Here I decided to preserve the Poltergeist. I switch out to get an Intimidate drop onto Ursaluna. And I just get off a Blizzard. If I get a freeze off, then it's happy days, but I don't. But it's not the end of the world. Now here, I actually do make another mistake. It's not like super costly, but it might be. I'm not too sure. Either way, it's a mistake, so I could have got punished for it. I switch in to Poltergeist. It's 2v3 now, which is quite scary. I get a Dragon Pulse off, and I get off Imprison, which actually come up. I didn't expect this to come up. I had it on the Poltergeist as an option. And I'm quite happy that it did come up. So I managed to imprison the Dusclops to prevent Trick Room. And yeah, I keep falling into like the Protect slot here. It's quite obvious for them, but I don't really want to get damage onto the Dusclops because of a Pain Split. But I actually click Rage Powder here. I don't know why I did this. I should have literally just clicked Life Dew. But I was scared of like a weird move coming off from the Dusclops, but I think Life Dew just made a lot more sense. They get Nightshade off, which does like reasonable damage, but again, not too much. This is quite a physically bulky Poltergeist, so I'm eating those hits like pretty well. It's generally bulky anyway, so I'm eating these hits like somewhat well. And I get a crit here on Dragon Pulse, and this actually does matter because they can just they live a turn, and obviously if they get rid of Poltergeist, and then Trick Room goes up, and then yeah, it could be a bit of an issue. But the Dragon Pulse crit, fortunate for their ends, but I mean, like, I can't complain too much about the crit, to be honest. Is what it is. Nightshade comes off again. And then, yeah, I think here they kind of lack the damage options to deal with the Salamence. They go for like a Protect again, but I'm just clearly just trying to get rid of this Amoonguss. I'm not too worried about the Dusclops for now, but yeah, it's just pinging Nightshade into my Poltergeist, and I'm just spamming Life Dews. We do get a Depulse off eventually. And yeah, Nightshade comes off. Again, I'm just like, I'm not playing it. I could have like been bold and assumed they were going to Protect again, but I just didn't want to get damage off to the Dusclops. I think Life Dew does. Sorry, Nightshade picks up here, and yeah, they go for no Protect. I get Depulse off, and then Trick Room goes off, and then it's just like a weird 1v1 where like they're Pain Splitting, I'm Dragon Pulsing, I'm doing like respectable damage because of my Choice Spec Stab. And yeah, I eventually just get there. But again, like, two mistakes. I probably should have got punished. But again, I thought the team was just strong in general, my team. And they had a really good answer into Terra Wars at Annilape. Unfortunate about the crit, but these things do happen. And yeah, I think they played really well. And I think this game could have gone either way, really close game. And hopefully we get to play again in playoffs. So yeah, that's the game really. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We do have quite a tricky matchup again next week. We're playing against a Sand team with, I think I might have it up here actually. Yeah, we're playing against this team next week, which is a Garchomp, Tyranitar, Corviknight, Scyther, Venomoth, Hisuian Zoroark, Rotomo, Fletchinder, Kilowattrel, God of War. So quite a tricky team next week. Quite a mixture of speed tiers as well, so it's going to be quite interesting to see how this goes. But again, if you guys want to follow the journey, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.